The point isn't to pit them against each other, even though that's kind of the point. Hi, welcome. My name is Angelina, and you are about to witness my 837th scandal. Yes, today we are going to be ranking all 4 BLACKPINK solos from 1 to 4. Now, hordes and hordes of you have come to my page begging me not to do this, even though you're so curious about what my ranking would be. Because number 1, you just don't want to see me get canceled. Listen, I'll do it for you. I promise you, this isn't my first rodeo. I will put myself in the line of fire just so you can get your ranking. I've been literally dying to do this for a long time, but you know, in YG style, I knew it would take probably a couple years. But since Jisoo's Flower has been released, we finally have all 4 solos under our belts. Our belts? Their belts? Doesn't matter. They're all here and we could finally rank them. Now, I wouldn't say it's a perfect lineup of BLACKPINK solos because everyone aside from Jennie has 2 songs. I hardly count her unofficial release of Me and You or You and Me. I know somebody's gonna say this. Rosé also has another solo song on their newest album. I personally haven't listened to it yet, and it's not because I'm a fake Blink. I personally saved some BLACKPINK songs for a rainy day, and I happen to have saved literally all of their songs from their new album, aside from the title tracks, for a rainy day. So literally anytime they start playing, like on TikTok or something, I scroll so fast. I'm like, you will not know. And I'm going to keep it that way. Oh my god, where did my karaoke mic go? It's like it's disappeared. I need to be dramatic right now, but I digress. I know we all have emotional investments into these solos, and you know, I definitely acknowledge that hearts and souls are poured into it, whether or not some of the members participated in the production or the lyricism of their own songs. That's kind of besides the point. It's still their babies, you know. I acknowledge that while also knowing that some of them are going to be dead last. Nevertheless, I still wanted to do these songs justice by looking deep into them, from the music videos to the lyrics to the overarching meanings we could find from them. And honestly, everything in between. I take a lot of inspiration from music. No, I don't. That's literally a lie. I take a lot of inspiration from movie and TV show reviews. That's actually how this channel came to be, because I was just so inspired by people literally looking into things that I could never see. That's actually how I got the most brutally canceled in 2019, because I tried to be a critic. But I just think I was way too ahead of my time, because now everyone and their mothers is critiquing BLACKPINK performances. But when I did it back then, it was not good. I was like, Jesus. But yeah, I just want to get into the nitty gritty. This has nothing to do with performances, so put down your pitchforks. Though if you're interested, I will be having my toxic Blink friend Sherry on the podcast, and we can talk all about that. But I hope you enjoyed this longer format while just expressing myself with the utmost honesty. So I really hope we can just come from a place of peace and understanding as we navigate this together. As if this is literally a K-pop channel, and I'll be waiting fists up in the comment section for you losers. So who do we have in last place? You know, I can't say that it's necessarily an obvious choice to put her here, because frankly, I've been reading a lot of comments saying that this is the best solo ever. And I can't tell if it's just, you know, people are caught up in the heat of the moment to just say something like that. Because frankly, I do disagree for a couple of reasons, and maybe they'll make sense. So unfortunately, and I know it's a little rough, I do have Jisoo solo in last place. So of course, this was released not too long ago in 2023, which gives us a 5-year gap since BLACKPINK's first solo being Jennie's in 2018. Which brings up potential reason number 1 that this is last place. Flower just doesn't have the element of time on its side. Compared to the rest of the solos, which have at least a couple years to grow on us, Flower just came out, and thusly, it's just not in the realm of possibilities that it could have grown on us the way a song released 5 years ago has the potential to. And I know in my review, I literally titled it Jisoo's Flower, last but not least. And I'm sorry for deceiving you, but I did it for the vibes. My friend Vanessa suggested it and I thought it was perfect. Otherwise, I was literally going to title it Jisoo's Flower Made Me Wilt. Which I didn't think people would get. But let's dive in a little bit more into Flower. So of course it is the title track from her album Me. And there's no denying that lyric-wise this is probably one of my favorite BLACKPINK solos. You know, as much as twerking when I buy the things I like touches on my heartstrings, I'm gonna have to give it to Jisoo. I myself am a fan of flowers. So the notion that all that was left behind was the scent of a flower kind of brought me back to this YG feel of lyrics that really are touching. Now, what does that line necessarily mean? I think it could be interpreted in a few different ways. For one, flowers can be entirely symbolic. She mentioned in a countdown live that the flowers in front of her represented innocence and elegance. And of course, flowers can have many different meanings, but let's go with innocence and elegance. Perhaps in the midst of an argument or a breakup, having just the fading scent of a flower left behind could represent the loss of those elements, the loss of innocence, the loss of elegance. The innocence leaving with this new painful lived experience, and the elegance consequently leaving afterwards because she can't keep herself together due to the heightened emotions of everything. Both of which I think are perfectly represented in the music video, with her seeming clearly agitated and antsy, pulling at her collar, overall just looking really heartbroken. However, the flowers could also just literally be physical flowers in front of her. She might have been presented with them during better times, but now nothing is left but their scent. So rather than a symbolic representation, it's a physical representation of something being there and then no longer being there. Something that I feel a lot of songs in general talk about because of how powerful scents are. If we think of Sister 19's Gone But No Longer There, your scent that was once here but now gone. Or if we just stick to YG in particular, Big Bang's full lyrics, the vivid rose bouquet, your scent still, even though I want to erase it, it can't be erased. Or even in 21's In the Club lyrics, now I'm trying to erase your scent. So whether it's a metaphorical flower or a physical flower that once was, that very notion that all that's left is its scent evokes powerful imagery of something that is temporary and the struggles of either wanting to erase it or being scared of forgetting it, which isn't the only way she uses flowers as imagery in this solo. She talks about an established relationship that was just not able to overcome the common issue of growing apart by using flower terminology of being in full bloom. I fly away like a blue butterfly. It's all on you that you didn't hold on, even the times that we were in full bloom. She also touches on the delicate nature of flowers. Cruelly trampled, my one and only lilac. I fly away like a white petal. And there's also the fact that flowers just don't last forever. So their fleeting and delicate nature can often be overlooked. Drawn by a gentle wind, spring comes, but we say bye, bye, bye. So overall, the song is quite poetic, and though I'm not perfectly fluent in Korean, I've been told by others that it's even more beautiful in Korean. So I can definitely see why people appreciate this song. However, it's just really not my favorite. Now, there are definitely other songs on the list that were hate at first sight. And I can't say that Flower was hate at first sight necessarily. In fact, I thought it was immediately tolerable. And again, with time not exactly being on its side, maybe it'll grow on me and I'll see myself out. And despite its mostly easy to listen to nature, I find it simultaneously unlistenable at the same time. I can't help but feel like her voice was edited in a weird way. Her voice was done dirty, shall we say. It didn't sound as smooth as it could have sounded. In fact, it sounded quite abrupt a lot of the time, which didn't help with my listening enjoyment, especially in comparison to the B-side and literally every other BLACKPINK song, where I find she sounds a lot lovelier. You know, people describe her voice as being like honey vocals, right? Which should fit perfectly in line with the song about flowers. But the harshness that I felt from the vocals just, you know, it didn't even contribute to the heartbreak aspect of the song. It just took me away from enjoying the song overall. So if you picture this kind of abrupt, harsh sounding vocals that is saying such a beautiful line, and you put that before a lovely set of beats, and then right after those set of beats, it just doesn't feel very smooth to me. I do maintain that I love the beats in the chorus. I think it is so mesmerizing. And when you pair that with the very simple choreography, I think it's amazing. But for the rest of the song, it's just really not my thing. I do think the B-side does help with my overall appreciation of the solo in general, though it does feel a little bit outdated. Do we remember when Ready for Love came out and people thought like it sounds like a 2010 song? Sounds quite outdated, but I still loved that song to bits, so it didn't really matter to me. I kind of get a similar vibe to All Eyes on Me, though I don't have that, you know, love at first sight aspect to it. It feels 2010s-ish to me. I was gonna play a snippet. No, fuck YG. I'm gonna get a copyright claim just for thinking about that. But again, the chorus is just spectacular. And maybe that's just the YG stand in me, because everyone and their mother is just saying, Teddy, stay away from chorus making. I cannot stand it anymore. It's repetitive. It's this, it's that. But I'm literally YG trash. Like, literally give me all the beat drops you can fucking think of. And there's actually this one note within the chorus that I obviously can't show you. But if you can just picture it, it goes up, Do you know what I mean? I have no I have no musical knowledge, so bear with me. But I feel like it evokes so much. At the end of the day, I do agree with the decision that Flower should be the title track. All Eyes on Me is a nice little slightly outdated B-side. To conclude my thoughts on this solo, of course, time does play a huge factor because there are songs that I literally it was really fun to look into the lyrics and look into whatever meaning we could find from the music video. However, sound wise, there's just something about the song that prevents me from wanting to listen to it, and thusly me as a whole lands itself in 4th place. So can we take a guess at who comes in number 3? It is not Lisa. I know you were expecting it, but who do you think I am? Come here to drop some money. So at number 3, we have Rosé's solo with R, featuring 2 tracks as well. So we have On the Ground and Gone. Now, I remember being the most excited for Rosé's solo. She's my bias in BLACKPINK. She has one of my favorite voices. She has one of my favorite voices in K-pop. You know, I've literally watched her grow all of these years. I've watched her put out cover after cover, beautiful acoustic covers. And I waited ever so patiently to have her voice front and center all by herself in a song of her own. So I guess you could say all of these expectations are really the downfall of this experience for me. And you know what? I actually held on to this hope until the very end, because I remember when I heard the teaser for Lovesick Girls, I hated it. I thought like, this is going to be a horrible song. I don't know what direction BLACKPINK is going in. This literally sounds terrible. And then I heard the full song and it was absolutely beautiful. We were born to be alone. What magic. It literally made me cry. So when I heard the teaser for On the Ground, I thought the exact same thing, or rather the opposite, because it did sound a little reminiscent of Lovesick Girls, the acoustic vibes and all that I just wasn't really into. So I thought, no, don't judge it because you made a fool of yourself for Lovesick Girls. So On the Ground could possibly be like the best thing you've ever heard. So don't judge it based on the terrible acoustic teaser. So then it comes the day when it officially gets released. And I have to say, it definitely wasn't what I was anticipating. And I think it just comes from all these expectations that I had, right? Because if you love something so much and then it ends up disappointing you, it's just such a different experience compared to if you really didn't think of something beforehand and then you listen to it and you're like, oh, it's all right. You know, like do you get what I mean? I feel like I'm not explaining that right. But I feel like I should have just let myself hate the teaser. Do you know what I mean? But Rosé has such a beautiful voice, and then suddenly I'm hearing it in this song in such a different way. It still sounds like her, but you know, so there's something within the lyrics, something within the melody that doesn't sound like her. You know, I had always envisioned her solo as just like a guitar carrying, cursive singing type thing, because that was in line with the covers she had basically released until that point. So if we think of Winners Really Really, Halsey's Eyes Closed, The Killers Read My Mind, I wanted something that I couldn't fucking dance to even if I tried. I wanted something that went off the beaten path, right? Because in my predictions, I definitely did say that I did. I know, I'm such a fucking hypocrite. In my predictions for her solo, I literally said it's probably going to have a choreography because I just can't picture YG releasing a ballad as a title track. So I wanted something more indie, but realistically, I just knew that as K-pop stans, companies think we're too stupid to be able to pay attention to a ballad as a title track. We need a choreography or else. It's just in the K-pop handbook at this point. I suddenly miss the days where YG was braver with the types of songs that they put out, where you could get straight up ballads for title tracks. If you think to 21's Missing You, it hurts. Let's not acknowledge Still Life right now, but it counts. Even Boom's own solos had zero choreography. She would literally just stand there and sing. Back then, it wasn't really as bold to do something like this, but we see as time goes on, if you do have a ballad, it's a B-side. Think of Stay by BLACKPINK. It was accompanied by a choreography-driven song like Playing with Fire. And I cannot complain too much because we did get a slow ballad in the form of a B-side, so Gone. We even got a music video for that B-side, which by the way was expressed by her, felt like something she really had to fight for. But back to On the Ground, I couldn't help but feel disappointed, and I think a lot of people did as well. There was like this trend of terrible K-pop songs at the time, like trash K-pop songs. I feel like Itzy's Mafia in the Morning was in there, Bicycle by Chungha. And I don't know if it's just me that associated On the Ground with this like trash K-pop concept. I made a whole video about it and how I fell in love with On the Ground after that. But I don't know if I invented that or if people genuinely didn't like On the Ground. But let me know in the comments down below because, you know, my toxic Blink friend Sherry, she was literally like, you're a horrible person. Because the lyrics to On the Ground literally changed my life and helped me through a hard time. And here you are saying she's a poser. Well, I didn't say it in those words exactly. It just came out that way. Listen, I've changed a lot since then. Let's just understand my point of view during that time. I kind of feel similarly to how I felt back then, but my point of view has definitely evolved to understand more. You know, I was in the height of my anti-capitalism shenanigans, which I still do agree with, but at the same time, it's just you cannot live your life focused on that, or else you cannot live. It's impossible to just comfortably live or live at all if that's all you can think about. And my brain was just clouded with this negativity that I'm still having trouble trying to shake. But you know, if a song's in Korean, you know, I don't look into the lyrics of everything. And you know, I understand sometimes, but sometimes it's better to not, especially if you're not a native speaker. You know, you can kind of get away with not fully comprehending something to its deepest core meaning. But I had no choice to understand on the ground. In fact, I understood it against my will. So Rosé herself explains that the lyrics of this song are about a girl who works so hard to chase her dreams so that she can reach the top and tell the world there's no coming down. But once she reaches the top, she realizes that all she needed was on the ground. Everyone wants to reach higher. Everyone wants to be more successful. We all have dreams within ourselves, right? The message I want to convey to the audience listening to the song is that maybe what we're chasing after isn't necessarily up there at the top. Be it censorship or whatever the case may be, it just felt like more was yearning to be expressed, and then this ended up being what was expressed, and it just kind of felt a little reductive, you know, to me it just felt a little out of touch. You know, of course, if you have everything, you can literally afford to live in such a comfort to be able to then look down and say, it's not everything it's made to be up here. I couldn't help but question some lines is all I'm trying to say. So I used to have a hole in the wall with a mattress, but I thought they were all rich. Now I know there's some people who are going to be like, they literally had bugs in YG's dorm. And I totally understand. I would have loved an expression of the tumultuous times that she had as a trainee. Like, I've seen the documentary. It must have been so hard to just literally see people drop like flies around you. Like, I can imagine the trainee system just forces you to be so competitive, forces you to not care about others too much, or else it might hurt you in the end. I fully acknowledge that, but at the same time, you know, if you're putting yourself in a position where there are bugs, it doesn't necessarily mean you came from bugs. Do you know what I mean? That was the only point I tried to make, and some people were really not receptive to that message. You know, the message of the song is more or less saying that don't look up. Not like that. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. But if your grass is already green, it's so easy to say that. Like when someone says money doesn't buy happiness, like when you have money, it's really easy to say that. But if you can't afford medical procedures, you can't afford food, you can't afford this, you know, it's not that money will buy you happiness, but it could definitely afford you a lot more comfort than you currently have. Now, I was in the height of my anti-capitalist shenanigans, as I said. I've since adopted a more nihilistic approach to life. And to me, nothing matters. I don't. Now, if you present me with a song like On the Ground, I just, you know, I'll express how I feel about the lyrics, and it's really not deeper than that. But back then, it was a whole fucking thing for me. I'm not gonna lie. Oh my God, I just feel like I'm harping on the ground. I did end up streaming it. It was part of my top 100 in the end. So let's. But another critique I had about the song was that, you know, the message was supposed to be, you know, everything you need is on the ground, right? Like, look at what you have in front of you instead of wanting what other people have. But then it also felt like a love song at the same time, which felt like an afterthought. What was the point of having a love interest in the song? And I remember mentioning this in my review as well, like trying to interpret it like maybe the love interest isn't actually a person. Maybe it's her old life. Like, I don't fucking know. But I've been waking up with your voice in my head, and I'm trying to send a message and let you know that every single minute I'm without you, I regret it. It just felt like a kind of throwaway line. Like, it's, you know, there is the possibility to look too much into this because it really doesn't matter anymore, but that's what I thought at the time. Nevertheless, I was definitely so proud of her for having writing credits. And it's not that it makes someone better than another person, but I genuinely appreciate sometimes, not, you know, sometimes you see writing credits and you're like, yeah, maybe you should have let the professionals work on that. But you know, I still appreciate the effort nonetheless, okay? For example, look at me, I'm never coming down. It just sounds so full of youth and wonder. And also the saying, what goes up must come down. It just felt like such a clever use of it. So despite my initial apprehensions of On the Ground, I did end up streaming it a lot. I still have a place for it in my heart, don't get me wrong. Gone, however, was the saving grace for me because it kind of gave me everything that I was really hoping for. And the message just felt a lot clearer and less clouded. And in fact, it just added these kind of youthful elements, these elements of almost teenage angst, shall we say. So you broke my heart just for fun, took my heart and just left me numb. Now it's 8 in the morning. Hate in the morning. It's a song about heartache. But then you have lines like that, or even lines like, I'll put a curse on her and you. You know, it just feels kind of threatening at the same time without being an actual threat, a lighthearted threat. Just the teen angst aspect that I really appreciated. It expresses itself quite plainly without taking itself too seriously. I also love the fact that Gone is unofficially the continuation of Lovesick Girls, where we see her painting the walls pink with her love interest before smearing black paint all over it in the midst of her sadness. And we can see in the aftermath of it all, the black stained tub from Lovesick Girls that she was bathing in is featured in Gone. And I just thought that was just so cute because we were born to be alone and now all my love is gone. So yeah, it definitely pains me to put her in the number 3 spot, but we will see why soon. So number 2, we actually have Bitch Nanin Solo Jennie with her cleverly titled solo album Solo, which unfortunately only featured one song. We do not count instrumentals in this household. But Jennie, I would say, is in a particularly difficult situation here because not only did she have her solo a long time ago, again being released in 2018, but she also had one song. So we only have one song to really look into. She does have You and Me that was unofficially kind of released. She's been performing it during their Born Pink tour, but I can hardly count that. Though it is catchy despite how much I really hated it at first. Dancing in the moonlight, sunrise. But the funny thing about Solo is that I remember people were not excited about it. When it was announced, people were actually feeling a certain way. So if you weren't there in 2018, basically, okay, BLACKPINK debuted in 2016. So they hadn't really been active that long, right? And they didn't have that many songs. So instead of people being so excited for a Jennie solo, it was more along the lines of, oh, we can clearly see YG's favoritism here. Isn't it too soon for someone in BLACKPINK to go solo right now? Why is Jennie the one going solo? And of course, everyone was defending it, being like, well, she trained for the longest. I don't think it had anything to do with that. I think, YG wanted to put out a solo and people didn't really love Jennie as much as they love her now. Not gonna lie, I also entertained this notion as well that Jennie was a favorite, that YG was clearly favoritizing her. Let's not try this right now. Which was odd for me because I literally had lived through 21 solos during their debut year. So 21 debuted and then suddenly Boom had a solo, Tara had a solo, and CL and Minzy had a subunit all within the same year of their debut. So was it really that weird that Jennie was going solo 2 years after their debut when there was a precedent for, girl group members to have a solo way before that? I guess the key difference was that Jennie already had these rumors of her being YG's favorite going around, being the favorite in BLACKPINK, and 21, they all had a side project outside of 21. Do you know what I mean? But it's not even a distant memory anymore. We'll get to that later. Nevertheless, I would say the solo was definitely clouded with disappointment as Jennie didn't have as much support as she does now. People who even supported the group were just dead set on this idea that the solo was not a good move. And frankly, solo was not my favorite when it first came out. Actually, I didn't ever stream it until recently. So can you imagine if Jisoo made her solo like a couple months ago? Jennie might have been last actually. I just thought the song was really boring and there was just nothing much to it. But time really is magical because there was really no escaping this song when it came out. Everybody would reference the Bitch Nanin solo, do you know what I mean? Not only was everybody just simply dancing to the song because of how iconic it was, but Somi even referenced solo in her song XOXO, and I still didn't like it. It wasn't until Audrey actually added solo to our car playlist, and I was like, oh, Why would she doesn't even like girl groups. Why is she doing this to me? But naturally, I knew all the lyrics and I would sing along to it, and it really grew on me from there. I mean, realistically, what is there not to love? We got to hear Jennie's beautiful and soulful voice perfectly displayed in a song that also featured her rapping. But admittedly, it still took years for this to come about, and I'll never be able to tell if it happened organically. I just find the song so pleasant to sing along to. I found a great appreciation for the tone of her voice, despite the fact that she's only my second favorite vocalist in BLACKPINK. And of course, just this perceived edgy nature of it sounding like she's saying, "Bitch, I'm solo," when it's really just shining solo. As she speaks of her newfound single life while navigating the breakup of an insincere love. This isn't a touching love story. No romance, no sincerity. I also did want to point out a potential lyric change because I was watching the music video, and when she goes, used to be a girl, now I'm used to being the girl. If you look at her lips, I'll make a short about this because again, I cannot show you due to copyright reasons. YG is fucking watching, guys. I swear to God. If I don't get a cease and desist from my company, YG Entertainment, because it might just be a little similar, please, it's not that similar. And I also know YG's always watching. They just are. But I'll make a short about it. The shape of her lips definitely don't look like she's saying girl. Used to be your bae. Now I'm used to being the goat. That's exactly what it looks like. So I think there was a potential lyric change after they filmed the music video. Unless this is something that is well known, but I've never heard of this before. But otherwise, the song just gives perfect indifference to an unromantic and disinterested lover who can't help but try to find someone just like her again. Now that you're alone got you looking for a clone now. It just felt so YG. The music video features a YG vibe of Jennie in heels and angel wings on top of a car where there is smeared lipstick that reads, "Not even a distant memory. I'm better off without you," which I actually have tattooed on me. Though now it literally says NCT, even a distant memory. So it's but that's a story for another video. All these years later, Solo has definitely stood the test of time, as it is still the most iconic solo out of all of BLACKPINK solos. I just have a different favorite. We can take a little bit of a break to talk about her unofficial solo, Me and You. I like me and you. Copyright claim. Okay, so I have to say the first time I heard it, I thought it was horrible. I just thought the lyrics are quite simple and repetitive, and I didn't quite like it. Probably quite reminiscent of how I felt when Solo came out. There's just this trend of songs from YG like Solo, like Flower, like On the Ground, even Lalisa to an extent, where it just showcases how scared YG is of releasing something that isn't immediately digestible. For example, if a song doesn't have a choreography, then it's a missed opportunity for a dance challenge and might just be harder for people to pay attention to a performance. But I'll be damned if that damn song is not stuck in my head today. So you never know. I'm gonna wait for an official release to really say anything about it, but that's what I think of it as of now. So with all that said, let's move on to our number one spot. Now, I know this is going to be controversial because I feel like collectively a lot of people agree that this is the worst BLACKPINK solo. But I am YG trash, and these two songs just scream YG in ways that you'll never understand. So of course, we have Lisa with Lalisa featuring the tracks Lalisa and Money. Again, I feel like everyone kind of agreed these were horrendous, but Money went viral. So, I can't be that wrong in this. Let's start with Lalisa. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't hate it at first. Out of all the solos that have come out, Lalisa was the one that I immediately hearted on Spotify. And Money too. This is just the first solo out of everybody where it was kind of love at first sight. I mean, Lalisa was more of a casual love, but the impact that Money had, damn. But let's talk about Lalisa. Despite its more minimalistic sound, it felt like a good enough mix of cute and girl crush, which I felt represented Lisa's personality versus how she portrays herself within BLACKPINK. The contradictions within the song made for something that wasn't entirely cohesive, but could only make sense within context. She absolutely kills it with her stage presence. And out of BLACKPINK, she stands out the most to me. But on a personal level, of course, she just seems more sweet. There's no denying that there's a persona that idols tend to have that are more so not in line with who they are genuinely. I think I said it wrong, so I'm re-saying it now. It's kind of like ATs, San and Seonghwa. They're super hardcore on stage, but then they're but we're actually super sweet in real life. You think it's a given, right? That you have certain personas on stage that are not necessarily reflective of people's genuine personalities. So I felt like Lalisa was a nice little mix of that. When it came to B, it just made sense to me. We had just enough of this self-centered attitude within the lyrics that were expressed quite modestly, actually, with the constant repetition of her own name and just like the sweetest voice. Say, Lalisa, love me. Lalisa, love me. As she almost whispers that she's the loudest in the room. There was just this dichotomy between her having this sweet personality and then this over-the-top bragging type personality that we'll see a lot more in Money. And it does seem that she thought it was a little weird to constantly repeat her name as well, but Teddy convinced her otherwise. We could switch from some sweet sounding verses to then a more BLACKPINK type rap, back to a bright vibe before we got to a cutthroat change up. With all that said, it's understandable how some people didn't like this song, because I could picture people getting really lost within it. Like, what does the song actually represent? But me? I didn't find it that jarring. But to me, Lalisa is literally just an afterthought. Like when I think of Lisa solo, I think of Money. And then I'm reminded that actually Lalisa was the title track. Because Money was a beast of a B-side. B-side actually stands for beast. No. That was so bad. It was so bad that I'm laughing, but it really wasn't funny. But it's really in Money where she ditches her modestly sweet way of bragging for a more explicit capitalist anthem. That's the shit that's never getting bounced on ya. Bitch, I do the money dance. I just made 100 bands. When the store says sign for it, I'ma leave my autograph. Truthfully, there was not really much more substance to the song than that. Like, if I was critiquing On the Ground for its lyricism, I don't even know what to say about Money, because she's literally just bragging about money and being rich, which is entirely tone deaf, especially considering the fact that she came here to drop some money, just not on any of us. Kind of rude. Which also, fun fact, for like 2 years straight, I literally thought the lyrics were, I can be the drop. Some money. I can be the drop. Some money. Dropping all my money. Do you know what I mean? And then I finally read the lyrics I came here to drop some money. I didn't dare question it. I don't know why. But when I did read the actual lyrics, I was like, damn, that checks out. Ugh. Anyways, this song went viral, so it didn't even matter what the title track was. Money was just that song. Money was the equivalent of Forever Young during our do-do-do-do days. And nobody liked do-do-do-do. I'm projecting, I'm sorry. But you definitely couldn't go on TikTok without seeing a Squid Game thing or hearing Money or both together, because they definitely went hand in hand. We didn't even get a proper music video for Money. This doesn't really count. Was the song in any way, shape, or form relatable? Absolutely not. But was it the YG trash that I've been hoping and dreaming for my entire life? I'd say so. Did we all collectively want to shake our butts to it? Absolutely. This butt dance united us as a community. Anyways, I feel a little silly putting this in first place, and I acknowledge there's so much nuance in between all of these songs. But when it comes to songs that I would gladly stream, Money and Lalisa, I'm sorry. I mean, I definitely would stream solo now, but it took all these years to stream solo. Money actually happened to be one of my most streamed songs. Let's actually take a look. I can be the drop, some money, dropping all my money, yeah, drop. I'm crying right now because I'm trying to show you that Money is in my top 100 of 2021. And look at this, guys. Just take a look. Do you see the other two songs not far behind? Stop it. Not Gone and On the Ground being literally right behind it. Am I misremembering how much I liked Gone and On the Ground? Anyways, I love Money. I still reference it to this day. Anyone mentions spending money or money, I'm just like, you came here to drop some money. It's lame, but it's all I have in life. Aside from my expectations for Rosé solo, all I really wanted was a cool YG song. Screw this elegant shit. I deserve, as a second gen stan, I need something slightly cringy. It's only fair. So that's who gets the #1 spot. Lisa with Lalisa and Money. I know that is incredibly controversial, so I'm really excited to see the whole war zone that is going to be my comment section. Don't forget to leave in the comments down below how you would rank these solos, why I'm wrong, if you think I'm right. I'm excited. It's been a while. Call me fat if you want as a rebuttal. I don't even care. That is basically it for me. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with friends you don't have. Soon I'm gonna get going. But huge shout out to my channel members and patrons for supporting this channel on a monthly basis. It means the world to me. Thank you so much. as for me, I'm gonna get going. I already said that. Bye.